Hi, folks. This is Friday, June 21st. I just was answering a text from Larry before I got on here. Somebody had promised to send some money and said that it's been sent and he has not received it yet, so we don't know what's going on. If anybody has any way to help today, Larry's definitely needing some help. He's got work to do, folks. He's got a lot of work to do, and he needs to be able to get home and get it done. But he's not able to right now. And if anybody can send anything right now, his PayPal account is nicholslive@aol.com. nicholslive@aol.com. If you cannot donate through PayPal and need an alternative, go to nicholslive.com. The link to PayPal, his address, and a text message phone number are all there on the nicholslive.com website. If you text 240-499-6729, we can find a way to do it. We have somebody who this week has been sending money through Western Union to me, and then I immediately go next door into the bank and put it in the bank in cash, and can then immediately, as soon as I get out to the car, send it to by PayPal to Larry. And I have an account set aside just for that, for funneling money through from gifts from folks. There are people who need to send a check, and that's the only way they're willing to do it, and they send a check to me. But I'm not going to give my address out here or put it on the YouTube. So if that's something you have to do, you can send the text to 240-499-6729, and we will help you figure out a way to donate. If you send cash, you can send it to Larry Nichols, 58 Kensington, that's Kensington, Kensington, Kensington Drive, Conway, Conway, Arkansas, which is AR 72034. You guys need to know something about the Clintons and the power they have. You know, Larry worked with them, but when he realized that Bill Clinton was involved in the drug trafficking, not just, he knew Bill used cocaine, but he didn't realize Bill was involved in the trafficking. He went to Bill and he said, look, I don't want our daughters, who were playmates at the time, getting hooked on cocaine when they get a little older. Clean this up. If you don't, you got 2 weeks. If you don't clean it up, I will. And before Larry was even home, the smear campaign that they had run against other people was happening to him. And he went to Bill and, he said, one of us is leaving town. And it wasn't going to be Larry. And Larry has never left town. Bill has. Of course, he left town to go to the White House, which Larry also tried to stop. But if you realize all the stories that are coming out about the things that the Clintons have done, there was only one lawsuit against Bill Clinton that Larry did not bring that led to the impeachment. And we've talked about that story of how they had enough votes in the Senate during the trial to have him kicked out of office. He was not only impeached, but they were going to kick him out. And one of the senators from Pennsylvania, his wife got a very large paycheck job offer, and he withheld his vote to kick Bill out. And greed and love of money got the better of that senator, and he didn't vote. And so Al Gore had the choice of voting Bill out or letting him stay in office. And Bill apparently had told Al Gore that if he kept Bill in, that Bill would help Al Gore win the next campaign. Well, Bill refused to help Al Gore, and we know what happened with that, with the hanging chads and everything. So Larry has work to do. He has been fighting the Clintons for 30 years. And he has been somewhat successful. Certainly the fact that Hillary Clinton never did make it into the presidency, which was their plan. Larry has been a big part in stopping that. Thank God for Larry Nichols. Thank God for what he has done. He knows information about people. He has what he calls his magic mailbox, where people who know things but don't, they're terrified to bring it out, will get information to Larry. And he has been successful in helping to drain the swamp a little bit, but he has a lot more to drain, and he needs our help to do it. And when the time comes, we will be making phone calls. It's not the time yet. Things are not quite lined up for that, and we won't be trying to call everybody. Larry will pick the key strategic people, as we have done in the past, and tell us whom to call, when to call, and we will do the force multiplication project once again. But Larry needs to be in the game to be able to do this, because when he gives us a script, he uses his name, and it is imperative that we follow his script exactly. Now, I know there's another group that is very frustrated that Hillary has not been indicted yet, and they're trying to force it along. They feel committed to what they're doing and think it's important. And I reminded them this morning that if they go before a judge, all they have to do, in fact, they were even discussing on that program this morning, they were discussing the fact that there was a judge in St. Louis, Missouri. There was a lawsuit against Planned Parenthood, and the judge placed a gag order, sealed all the records, and nothing can happen with that. So having the right judge is very, very important, because our elected officials are in Washington, D.C. We need a judge with purview in D.C., and you know how liberal the courts in D.C. are. You know how liberal the courts in California have been, and the Ninth Circuit has been problematic, and Trump has been able to replace at least one judge on the Ninth Circuit, and it's making a difference, because look what happened this week. They told Trump that he's allowed to withhold funding from Planned Parenthood. So things are changing, but it's very, very hard for us to be patient. We're not patient people. Look at the McDonald's society we live in. We want it, and we want it yesterday. We want it now. We don't want to wait at all. But anything having to do with politics and government works very, 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 very slowly. And that is not the way we're used to conducting our own personal affairs. And so it's hard to accept that what is going on behind the scenes, they have to make sure every T is crossed and every I is dotted, or it gets thrown out. I mean, if you've ever completed any legal paperwork or done anything to get an insurance reimbursement, everything has to be perfect or it's thrown out. So they are making sure they have everything done correctly. Durbin is certainly interviewing people and checking and making sure everything's done correctly and they have all the information they need before going forward. I think they've got pretty much what they need to lock up a prosecution, but they don't have a court. So there are things that I would assume our president can do in a second term, which is why it is very, very, very important that we make sure he wins, because if he loses next year, socialism and communism comes in. The first thing they will do, as Larry has told us, the first thing they will do is they will nationalize the banks. And as soon as they do that, your access to any money will be a trickle. And much of it will be, if not most of it, if not all of it, will be confiscated. The elite who run the communist government think they are entitled to everything. Businesses are nationalized and people lose the incentive to work because they have no control over what happens with what they produce. And this is not what we want. Free healthcare would bankrupt this country. The free healthcare that they are promising. The free college and loan repayment that they are promising would bankrupt this country. The number of Black people they are promising $5,000 a person to in reparations, that alone would be enough to just totally destroy our credit rating in the world. The Democrats are determined to destroy the country. The wealthy will maintain their wealth, if they are in the top elite. Larry has said that the Progressive Council in America, in the United States, will be made up of a handful of people. In other words, fewer than 10, maybe 5, who will be the leaders controlling the government. The senators and House think that they're going to be in charge, but that is not how it works. It'll be the elite among them. And the reason we have so many people running on the Democratic ticket is they are determined to get Trump out of office. And whoever becomes president next time, if it's not Trump, they know when socialism comes, they become dictator, and with the potential for being dictator for life. So that's why you have such a big field running among the Democrats. And the Progressive Council has decided that Biden is the one they want. I can't say anything definitively. I don't have proof. I just know things that Larry has told. And I can guess that, and I'm guessing right now, that Biden is probably the easiest one for them to control, and maybe the one they think would most easily win because of his experience in working with world leaders as vice president, and of course now as part of the shadow government going behind Trump's back to negotiate, for example, we know he was in Iran. We know Biden has worked with China when he wasn't supposed to. He worked with Ukraine. He has negotiated deals on behalf of his son, I understand, to the tune of big, big money. So there's a lot of corruption there that needs to be dealt with. But we have got to have a judge that will not seal up the records and put a gag order on so that you can't go forward, and you can't have double jeopardy where you indict and try to prosecute, it gets sealed up, and then you come back and do it again. You can't do that. So we have to wait. And there are 4 judges that Trump has appointed that have purview where these prosecutions could happen, but they're not being approved by the Senate because Hillary has said that if she goes down, they all go down with her. So they're scared to dare approve these honest judges. What we can do about it, I'm not sure. I've asked Larry if we should make phone calls to the senators about it, and he said no, or at least not yet. But you know what? We serve a mighty God. And I don't know how much time you spend in prayer, but I know people who spend hours a day in prayer. I know people who have donated to help Larry to the point that they don't have enough food to eat. I know people who want to donate but can't because they can't even put together one meal every day. So there are folks that are really making sacrifices for their own families and for Larry's work and for the sake of the country. There are people who call me every day. I have a prayer call every morning with the conference call number. That's at 11 Eastern, 10 Central. If you're a prayer warrior, you are welcome to join us any day, Monday through Friday. There are other people who call me and we pray privately because they don't want to be on the prayer call. Many of us are doing absolutely everything we can, and I assume if you're here that you've done what you could. But folks, we have got to keep Larry going. He has work he must do behind the scenes that nobody's allowed to know what he's doing, or his life's at risk. And I don't want at all to be responsible for another hit on his life. Can you imagine what it must have been like to have his daughter playing in the yard? I don't know if she was in his yard or the next door neighbor's yard, but he was cutting the grass and she was outside with him, and somebody drove by and shot him up with a shotgun. That's how he lost part of his lung. And 2 weeks ago, his lung collapsed, and they didn't know if that was going to kill him because they could not reinflate it. But this special program that he's doing right now, 24 hours later, his lungs started functioning again. Not at peak performance, but it's functioning and it's getting better. And he's going to have another treatment of this special program in July, and we have to keep him going so he can get that, because this what he is doing, they have an incredible cure rate. For most people, it's 95% cure. Now, whether it'll be that high for Larry at his late stage of the game, we don't know. But the fact that his lungs started functioning again, it hadn't functioned for 4 or 5 days, and suddenly it started working again and is increasing in capability. You know, that's incredible. God is slowly working on Larry's healing, but he needs financial help to stay in the game, to stay in the fight. It's not a game. I mean, he made that very clear one day. He said, Mary Ellen, this is not a game. This is deadly serious. I don't know if any of you guys can do anything to help. But if you can't help yourself, you know, if you collect pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, dollars from others, look at the sidewalk. You know, I pick up money on the street. It's not much. It's a quarter here. It's a dime or a penny there. I dug down in my sofas the other day and picked up a little bit of change. You know, you donate a few pennies, you get a neighbor to donate a few pennies. Nothing is too small, because everything adds up, and God can multiply if you pray over it. So I guess that's all I've got to say. Just a reminder, Larry's PayPal is nicholslive@aol.com. His address for cash only is 58 Kensington Drive, Conway, Arkansas, 72034. If you need another way to donate and have the ability to do that, the text message is 240-499-6729. Somebody just sent something Western Union an hour and a half ago, so I'm headed out now to pick it up. If anybody else can run to Western Union and send something so I can pick it up right now, that would be awesome. Send a text message, 240-499-6729, and I will give you what information you need at Western Union to be able to get that money to me. I'm having it sent to me rather than to Larry, because for him to arrange for somebody to pick it up and then drive it over to him, I don't know if he has to pay somebody to do it, but it's really inconvenient for the nurses and other people that do try to help. So it's close to me, and so I'm willing to run down and do it, get it in my bag next door, and put it into PayPal to him immediately. So if you can do Western Union, send me a text and let's get that done. And if anybody can do anything, remember, folks, we're looking at the weekend. So, you know, if push comes to shove, I may come back here and give you a message from him if I have one. Otherwise, I will talk to you Monday. Have a blessed weekend, and pray that Larry will survive. I know we are all barely functioning money-wise, Casey. I know that's really true. But I'll tell you, it'll be even worse if we don't keep Larry in the fight, because I can almost guarantee you that if something happens to take Larry out of the game, everything we are hoping for will shut down and it'll be over. So dig as deep as you can, or ask somebody else to help dig as deep as they can, and do something. Please do something. Thanks a lot. God bless. Bye.